Hey, this is Walter Jones.
This is Austin St. John.
And you're listening to
Ranger Danger.
In the podcasting life, they must fight to survive. Shackled by the chains of the past. They're the biggest of geeks, cause they watch every week. Subscribe to see if they can last. Go, Ranger Danger. We can't ever stop. Go, Ranger Danger. Podcast till we drop, probably forever. Yeah, whatever. Ranger Danger, Ranger Danger, Ranger Danger, Ranger Danger, Ranger Danger, Dino Charge.
Alright, welcome once again to Ranger Danger Dino Charge. That's the podcast where we watch an episode of the TV series Power Rangers Dino Charge, I guess. Is that what it's called, Michael?
That is indeed what it's called, Matthew, at least for the time being.
Just checking. Okay, and we're actually watching episode number 5. That one is entitled Breaking Black. So if we don't see a Breaking Bad Power Rangers crossover here, I'm going to be a little disappointed.
I think you'd better be prepared to be a little disappointed then, Matt.
That's how I live my life in regards to Power Rangers, Michael.
That's the only way, frankly.
So before we get into the episode, do we have anything to do, Michael?
We're on TuneIn now. That's a new thing.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but if you know what that is, then you could do us on there.
I think it's like a Stitcher.
It's like a Stitcher?
I maybe?
Similar but legally distinct?
I basically just submit us to anything that looks like we should be on it. So I'm not...
Yep.
I don't actually know what anything is.
Yep. We've actually printed out many versions of our podcast just to put them on tables and on people's heads and on plants.
Yeah, I'm never sure about the plant ones.
Well, I figure we're tackling the environmental market that way.
Fair enough. No, I think it's been a pretty quiet week this week in Power Rangers news, after the big week last week we had.
It was kind of a crazy... But the past few weeks, I think.
Yeah, so, things have settled down. I imagine we'll get a movie announcement soon? A director, maybe?
We're all kind of holding our breath for that one.
Yeah.
It's very hard to know how close that is.
It's got to be soon, right?
You'd think so. This past week, we also had a real-life current Power Ranger favourite one of our tweets. So
that did happen. He actually favorited 3 of our tweets.
There we go. I'm pretty sure that makes us celebrities by extension.
Yeah, I think that's how it works.
Yeah. That's the system.
Yeah. Do you want to tell people which Power Ranger that was, or are you just going to leave him hanging?
I guess we can. That was Mr. Yoshi, who plays Koda on Power Rangers Dino Charge.
I'm very pleased that you remembered his name, because that would have been very awkward.
It would have been. And he seems to be probably the biggest fan of Power Rangers to get onto the show.
Yeah, I think we're at the point now where people who are being Power Rangers are about our age, and so kind of had the ability to be watching it as kids and grow up loving it.
Yes, and dream of being Power Rangers and then get to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas if you were like a 20-year-old in the early 2000s, you were probably aware of Power Rangers, but it wasn't as important to your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I think we'll keep this one short.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's just dive into some Power Rangers Dino Charge.
We could drive in as well.
Before we do that, though, I should tell you, I guess, that we do have an internet website, which is www.rangerdangerpodcast.com.
Yep.
If you feel the desire to send us an email, you can do that at rangerdangerpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to send us a Twitter tweet, our Twitter tweet receptacle is @RangerDcast. We're also on Facebook and iTunes and Stitcher and YouTube and TuneIn. And we have a shop, which is rangerdangerpodcast.com/shop, where you can get like shirts, I guess, shower curtains.
No shower curtains yet. I still haven't done shower curtains.
Goddamn, Michael, you had one job.
Shirts, phone
on
cases,
top of all those other jobs.
Laptop skins, iPhone and other phone cases, prints, mugs. We got mugs.
Mugs, all adorned with our exclusive Ranger Danger artwork.
Yeah. It's pretty cool stuff. You should check it out. Please buy
I agree.
something. Please.
Don't make us beg. You guys.
I swear to God, I check it once a day just in case.
Yeah. We will beg, but we're trying to put that off.
Yeah, for as long as possible. Another 6
right.
months and we'll just be crying for 10 minutes at the end of every episode.
No, I'm worried that they'll like that. We don't want to incentivize them.
Oh, no, that's fair. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Another 10 minutes and we'll... No,
It'll be this like awkward silence
Yeah,
for
yeah.
10 minutes. You'll fear us glaring at you. Yeah, okay, so after that sort of connection with our audience, we're going to watch Power Rangers.
Yeah.
If you want to do that too, pause the podcast right now, go and do that, and then join us.
Ranger danger, Ranger danger.
Alright, we just watched Breaking Black.
Yep. No crossover.
No, sadly, no crossover, no Walter White. It was a mind control episode, unfortunately, but at least we're getting that out of the way early.
Are you not a fan, Matt? I don't think we've had a proper mind control episode of Mighty Morphin yet, other than the Tommy stuff.
Which is kind of extensive.
Yeah, we had a punk episode.
Yeah, they've all been bad to one extent or another at some point. But I guess it's very rote genre fiction territory. You know?
Absolutely, I'd agree with you there.
Like, if it's a genre show, you're going to hit it once during the show's run, without a doubt. So, yep, here it is.
Yeah,
All right,
it's not terrible.
Look, it's not bad, but it is what it is. Shall we start from the start?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, we start off with some burger-related comedy. Which
Yeah, I mean, that's my favourite brand of comedy.
I guess it's going to be a recurring theme, because we sort of ended it with it last week, didn't we?
I like them having jobs.
Yeah.
I think it's nice. I guess they're all, like, adults legally? I don't know. They don't seem to be at school.
Yeah, it's very nebulous. But I mean, like, you can work at 16.
Sure, but I don't know that you have time to work and be a Power Ranger and be at school.
Yeah.
That's a lot of things.
It is. But also, I do a lot of things, so it's possible.
Yeah, but how many of those are saving the world?
I mean, like, metaphorically?
Even metaphorically, actually. I want to hear the answer to this.
None. Still none.
Right, yeah, that's what I
I just
thought.
wanted to check. Yeah. Okay, so, burger puns, basically Chase is forgetful.
Chase is a piece of shit.
Yep.
It's not even forgetful. He's texting while he's flipping burgers.
Yeah.
And then, also while he's flipping burgers, he's going out to flirt with a girl.
Michael, would you say that he's chasing tail?
No, I look, I wouldn't say that.
Oh, okay.
I
Never mind.
understand that you might say that.
Yeah.
I kind of like that he's a piece of shit.
Yep.
We haven't had many Power Rangers like that in the past, I don't think.
He's certainly an endearing piece of shit, which is a hard needle to thread.
Yeah, and I suspect that we're slowly going to move away from him being a piece of shit, judging by this episode.
Sure. He did seem to learn a valuable lesson here.
He did learn a valuable lesson. I gave myself 3 points for it.
Yeah. So basically, they get on his case about almost burning down the dinosaur museum by not attending the grill.
More specifically than that, even, it's that if he'd burnt down the dinosaur museum, their secret base is right underneath the dinosaur museum.
Also bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
Lots of...
I'd hope
yeah.
that they'd have some sort of fire protection systems. Like, I'd like to think that the key to destroying the Power Rangers isn't, like, lighting a match near their building. But
Isn't just committing quite a bit of arson,
that's
you mean?
right. Not even, like, a lot of arson. On the grand scheme of, like, arson, it's
Yeah, sure.
it's
fair
one
enough.
building.
While we're on this,
Yeah.
this episode was also written by Judd Lin,
Mm-hmm.
but it was written by Judd Lin with a couple of other people.
Yep.
So I imagine he's not taking on the entire responsibility on his own.
Yep. He has a writer's room, I guess, and he's head
Yes,
writer.
and
Yep.
I'd imagine that they're either taking it and then he's polishing, or he's putting together an outline and then they're cleaning it up, or
Fleshing it
some
out,
variation
yeah.
of that. Yeah.
Yep. It's interesting that, for some reason, this sort of scene here is where it really clicked for me that the guy who plays Chase is quite a good actor.
Yeah, he's not terrible, is he?
He's quite solid. And I think he seems to have the best range of the other Rangers at the moment.
Yep.
So yeah, that's cool.
I think he's probably had the ability to do the most so far.
Sure.
In that he's, like, they all get to be serious when it's Power Rangering time.
Yep.
but he also gets to be, like, comedic the rest of the time.
Sure, yeah.
Whereas the people who are serious characters are just serious all the time.
Yep, that's true.
So, yeah, there's a Maori woman with a funny hat.
Oh, this, it did make me uncomfortable. And it's weird because it's not even, like, stereotypy. Like, this isn't any sort of representation of Maori culture, even stereotypical.
It's certainly not one that I'm aware of. And it's possible, maybe it's a, like, inner New Zealand stereotype.
Yeah.
We'll have to get... I know Tim has got a couple of friends from New Zealand. We'll have to ask them about it.
Yeah. If they can just jump on a plane and come and visit us, that'd be great.
Oh, no, they live here. I'm not asking them to...
Great.
Yeah, I don't... I guess, like, there must be some sort of New Zealand fortune teller stereotype.
Well, she's a gypsy, really. Like,
more or less, yes.
Which, that is not a New Zealand thing. But she's such a... It's hard to put your finger on, but something about it just is annoying. Like, she's supposed to be wise, but she's so badly hamming it up that it's very hard to take her as a credible, like, serious character or even character at all.
Yeah, I agree with you. I really hope she's related to Madame Swampy, Angel Grove's fortune teller.
Maybe she is Madame Swampy, Michael.
Oh, that's possible. I have to say, I really like how much they're doubling down on the whole New Zealand thing.
Yeah.
Like, Chase is from New Zealand as a character, and he just happens to know this one Maori woman who, like, is a fortune teller and has a shop somewhere in what is, I guess, meant to be America.
Yeah, somewhere in America, yeah.
It's nonsensical and bullshit, and it's kind of great that they're just going with it rather than trying to explain it. Anyway,
lady who isn't Madame Swampy wants Chase to mind her shop. And the other ranger's like, no, don't do it. He's got,
he's a piece of shit, yeah.
Basically, yeah. So he takes up the job and immediately falls asleep, proving that he is, in fact, a piece of shit.
So she's had a vision that someone is going to steal something of great value.
Yeah.
Which is not a very specific vision.
No.
And also, I'm not entirely sure why she goes to just this one teenager who she met this one time.
Well, I think she, like, has a pretty established history. Like, we go on to learn that he did a pretty good thing for her. And
yeah, I think we'll get to that.
Yeah, and she entrusted, I understand this part.
Okay.
Yeah. So while he is asleep, Spellbinder warps into the shop.
Has there been a monster called Spellbinder, or am I thinking of a DC Comics bad guy called Spellbinder?
I'm not sure. It seems like low-hanging fruit.
Oh, certainly, yeah. I'm going to look it up while you explain what happens next.
Yeah, so basically, Spellbinder warps in, gets his hands on what looks like... when you're on a submarine, and you have to open the doors of a submarine?
Yep.
Basically the handle of the door of a submarine.
Yeah. They call it a pendant, I think. It's not a pendant.
No, it's a submarine door handle. So anyway, he grabs the submarine door handle. Chase wakes up in time to notice, but Spellbinder starts to run away, basically. Curiously, he doesn't just teleport out like he teleported in, but whatever. We'll just have to accept that one, I guess.
Sorry, yes, Spellbinder is a DC Comics bad guy.
Yep. Now, what does Spellbinder do, Michael?
Spellbinder, there have been multiple Spellbinders. It looks like illusions. There's a Batman Beyond Spellbinder who does indeed also have mind control powers.
Yeah, God, Batman Beyond is good.
Because, of course, he does.
Yep.
There's also the Batman version of Spellbinder who has mind control. Basically, he's got mind control powers, and I'm amazed that this cleared with legal.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's a pretty, broad name, and he's not exactly a marquee Batman character. So
you're not suggesting that the next Batman movie is going to have, the Joker, the Riddler, Bane, Spellbinder?
Yeah, it'll be Batman versus Superman versus Spellbinder.
That seems reasonable.
Yeah. So, Spellbinder's off, and Chase has to give chase.
How have you become the terrible pun person on this podcast?
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it?
It's really weird.
You need to lift your game, Michael. I'm just picking up your slack.
Oh, boy. Okay. So Chase follows on his skateboard.
Yep.
Oh, we should mention, so at this point, Spellbinder has shot like a magical beam at Chase.
Yep, a submarine beam.
And it's given him weird, like, dinosaur eyes.
Well, lava eyes or something?
Some sort of glowing eyes.
Yeah.
But he can shake it off when he's riding his skateboard, which is useful.
It is useful. And also, the strangest, resolution to a mind control plot I've ever seen, but we'll get more into that.
So Spellbinder, I should mention, is like a crow man thing.
It's interesting that the villains so far don't seem to be as distinctly themed as Mighty Morphin villains.
Yes, certainly Mighty Morphin villains were like, it's got a purse for a head.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
this is a
purse
sphinx.
head.
Yeah.
Yep. I wonder if that's because after 20 years, they've used all the common household items they could think of.
I suppose.
At some point, we've got to get to, like, spatula.
I was going to say, I'm waiting for Cuphead.
Oh, God.
He just, walks under a waterfall and fills himself up with water, and then walks over to a parent and just splashes them inconsiderately.
And then you're all wet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got nothing.
Yeah, I'll need to brainstorm that one a bit. So there's a Chase on a skateboard, giving chase. And at some point, he sort of skates behind a van, says energize, and comes out the other side morphed.
And then does a sick jump over a car.
Yeah. Which is cool and all, but it's probably something I shouldn't mind. But it's a weird inconsistency in how they morph. Like, do they have to shoot their gun and say, it's morphin' time, and do the little dance? Or can they just say energize and get it over and done with?
The interesting thing is, other than the first episode, or I think the second episode, whenever they morph, that stuff happens in floaty morph space.
Yep.
So maybe they don't have to, and if you were watching that without the morphing sequence, it would just look like them getting their guns out and being morphed.
I see what you're saying. So basically, that morphing sequence takes place almost outside of time.
Yes,
and
it happens. Almost, it doesn't happen.
Yep.
It just kind of...
Sometimes we see it, sometimes we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. I'm down with that theory. It actually makes me feel a lot better, which is weird.
Yeah, and look, I guess it's just so that they need them to morph occasionally in this show.
Yeah.
But they don't really want to do the morphing sequence 3 or 4 times an episode.
Sure. So he manages to chase this guy down to a warehouse.
You have to stop it now.
No, that wasn't intentional. I was just trying to say that the chase continued.
Okay.
Chasing. So he gets into the warehouse, and a quick fight ensues, but he's having trouble because once he gets off his skateboard, his weird orange eyes are coming back, which is causing him some trouble.
Yeah, so Spellbinder has mind control powers.
Yep.
To which Chase responds, "No one controls me, mate." And there's... I don't know how to explain it. I love hearing that accent.
Really?
It's just so out of place on Power Rangers.
I love hearing it too. The problem is that mate is an Australian thing to say, not a New Zealand thing to say, and even Australians don't really say it.
I say it all the time.
Do you?
I also unironically say g'day all the time.
I've never heard you say mate. I've known you quite a while.
I didn't use g'day for 18 years of my life. And then all of a sudden, I just started using it all the time.
Michael.
It's great. I love it. It's such a great way to greet people.
Sure. All right.
Also, when I go to foreign countries, they will instantly know where I'm from, and that's useful.
Anyway, so there's a bit of a fight. Then the other Rangers turn up.
Yep.
And quickly morph. And basically the Red Ranger says, you're doing okay on your own, but now that there's 5 of us, you're screwed. And it's just a little bit odd whenever they really hang their head on the fact that, they really do gang up on these monsters.
Yeah, they have to, because one-on-one they lose these fights.
Yeah, sure. But it's weird when they, specifically go, you're doing quite well, but you're kind of screwed now because there's a lot more of us than there is of you, and we're going to just beat the shit out of you as a gang.
If it was 5 monsters against one of them, it would look brutal and horrific.
Yeah.
But because it's just 5 kids, you're like, oh yeah, that's all right.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I don't know if we saw this last week. When they activate Dino Steel,
Yep.
they, like, rub their guns all along their arms
Yep.
where the Dino Steel comes.
Yep.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a nice little thing.
Yeah. I mean, they have more, like, little things than I would like
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's a fine one.
Sure. So, as you say, they get their Dino Steel powers, and then they sort of manage to fight him, Spellbinder, to a standstill, basically, and force him to retreat. So he retreats, he goes up to his little spaceship.
Whoa.
What?
You're missing a whole thing, Matt.
Am I?
He takes Tyler hostage.
Oh, yeah.
And Tyler says, Chase, go on, just shoot him in the head. I trust you.
Yep.
He doesn't say shoot him in the head, but that's pretty heavily implied.
Yep.
And then Spellbinder is all like, wooga booga, woo! And so Chase nearly shoots Tyler, but then he drops his gun, and that's the end of that.
That is the end of that. I'm so glad we covered that.
It's important for contextualising the mind control that happens later in the episode, Matt.
Sure, okay. So Spellbinder goes up to his ship, and he basically gets told off for not doing what he said he would do and mind control the Black Ranger. But then he reveals that it's just something that takes time, and the Black Ranger will eventually sort of come over to the dark side as it is.
Yeah, so what he says to Sledge basically is, I can give you all of the Power Rangers. Like, once I've got this one, he'll help me get the rest of them, and then that's fine. And Sledge says to him that he'll set him free in exchange for one Ranger. Mm-hmm. He promised you 5.
But to me, I read this as Sledge not having confidence in it. He's sort of saying, look, I'll give you everything you want just for 1. If you can manage to pull off 1, that'll be great, you know?
Yeah, but if he can get 5... Don't let him go, right, here's your 1, I'm off.
Sure.
I think Sledge is not good at making business decisions.
Well, I think that's, like, very well evidenced by the fact that he, is in his current predicament.
This is. I'm going to skip forward to, like, nearly the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Where Sledge reveals that, because he's a bounty hunter, these criminals, like, could have been traded for quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
I think he says, like, 20 million space credits or something dumb like that.
Yeah.
And it really suggests that, frankly, the best course of action for him would be to go and just get rid of all these criminals.
Cut his losses, yeah.
Yeah, like, he's already wasted 65 million years on this thing. And while it is the prospect of ultimate power, I can tell you he's not ever going to get it.
To be honest, my reading of the situation is that because of what happened to his spaceship, he can't really leave without an energem.
Right.
He doesn't have the power source to, like, get out of the solar system. He's just sort of stuck up there.
That would make more sense.
Yeah. Because remember, he had to, like, hitch a ride on that asteroid to get back to Earth in the first place. So
sure.
I think his ship's not in good shape.
Okay, I'm willing to accept that then.
Yep. Cool. So, back in the command center...
Yep.
They've had a new weapon developed for them.
Yes, so luckily Kendall is putting herself to good use.
Yep.
She's developed a new Dino Charger.
Yep.
Called Dino Spike.
Yep.
But it takes all 5 Rangers.
Yep. Tyler says, Dino Spike? Perfect! Despite having no idea what it is. Which is either means, like, he's an idiot or he's just very optimistic. So I'm going to go optimistic.
I mean... He knows that he needs some sort of powerful weapon.
Yeah.
And I guess Dino Spike sounds like the name of something that's pretty good at poking shit.
Yep. So he's like, yep, I'll take it.
Like, it's not like it's Dino Defense. And he'd be like, that's not going to be any good. I need a gun.
Yep. So Keeper's talking to Chase about his situation.
This show could have really done without Keeper.
I had that note down as well. He is just a bit shit, isn't he?
I don't know how they would have done that whole opening thing without Keeper. Like, I understand the purpose of Keeper.
Yeah.
But, man, every time he's on screen, I'm thinking, why couldn't you have just had, like, someone that looked like a person in a funny robe or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely. Or alternatively, you have Keeper in that opening scene, and he dies, but passes on the energems.
Well, that's super bleak, but okay.
Yeah. I mean, like, maybe not dies, but, goes into hibernation or whatever. Like,
Sure.
He was useful then. I don't understand his use now, particularly because of Kendall.
Yeah, she's doing all of the work.
Yeah.
And he's just standing around waving his staff and going, yep, definitely mind controlled. Nothing I can do about it, but, yep, that'll be a problem.
Yeah. And just because he walks up and talks to people with faces and just has no expression on his face.
Yep.
It would be fine if he was interacting like the monsters do, usually with other sort of puppets. But because he's right up against humans, it really draws into stark contrast just how bad that mask is at conveying expression.
Yeah, even if it had, eyebrows that could move, or, I don't know, if any part of the face moved at all,
Yeah.
it would just, would be a drastic improvement.
Yeah. Anyway, so basically they say, the keeper says, maybe you should go talk to that crazy lady and find out what the deal is with that talisman or whatever. So they go and do that. Do you remember?
I have to just pause.
Yep.
Before they go and do that, everyone goes except Chase.
Yes.
They know Chase is under some degree of mind control.
Yep.
And they leave him alone in their base with an ordinary human and, a magical ET wizard.
Yes. There's probably a bad choice, yeah.
Yeah, they really just... Really what he should be doing is skateboarding in circles.
Well, they haven't figured out yet, I don't think, that skateboarding is the ticket.
He has said that it goes away when he's on his skateboard. He explicitly says that sentence.
I thought that came later.
Nope, it's in this scene.
Okay, well, there you go. All right, yep. Or they could just put him in a cage.
Yeah, that would also work.
Either way.
He was in a cage last week and he couldn't get out.
Anyway, where they go back to that lady's shop and ask her about the origin of that weird submarine handle. And she says that it came from the darkest corner of New Zealand. So presumably she's talking about Mount Doom here.
The line is, it was forged from an evil heart in the darkest corner of... And I'm going, yeah, give me some lore. Say, Edenoi, or, give me just a planet. Give me something that I know of. And she finishes the sentence with... New Zealand. Yep. I'm thinking, okay, even the darkest corner of New Zealand is probably lovely hills.
Oh, it's a beautiful place. There's no dark places. Maybe there's places with not much light, but they're still gorgeous.
The darkest corner of New Zealand is basically above 90% of the rest of the universe.
Yeah. Anyway, she gives the Rangers the flashback origin of Chase, basically, and reveals why he got an energem.
Yep.
Because he was hanging out outside her shop. She came out with a pram, lost control of the pram, and it took off down a hill.
I think lost control is giving her a bit too much credit. She basically just lets go.
Yeah, she basically pushes it. Anyway, it takes off. Chase takes off after it.
He does some sick tricks.
He basically proves that he's probably a better skateboarder than Tony Hawk, which is...
Wait, hold on. Are you saying that based on your extensive knowledge of Tony Hawk?
Michael, I played a lot of Tony Hawk Pro Skater, I'll have you know.
Okay, that's fine. But I think Tony Hawk is pretty good at the pro skating.
And the guy who is basically my brother-in-law met Tony Hawk last week, so I feel like I've got a connection. I feel like I can speak with authority here.
Okay, so you're a Tony Hawk expert now.
That's right. That's
Should
what I'm
we
saying.
start doing a Tony Hawk podcast?
Yeah, look, I know about kickflips.
Ollies? Are ollies a thing?
I know about 900s.
What's a 900?
I think it's just when you spin 900 degrees.
What's 900 degrees?
It's a lot.
But it's not a full number of turns.
Maybe it's a 1080.
Yeah, a 1080 would be 4 complete flips.
There we go, that sounds right.
A 900 you're going to end up facing left or something.
Tony Hawk, he could handle it. Not as well as Chase, though, which is coming back around to my point.
Yeah, he jumps off some steps, he jumps on some tables.
Yeah, he does some pretty impressive stuff. Leapfrogs a table and then lands back on the skateboard.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But the coup de grace comes when the pram goes in front of a speeding bus. And
Jesus Christ.
he, like, races down towards it, jumps up in the air, front flips in front of the bus, while he's upside down, grabs the bundle inside of the pram, and then lands safely on the other side of the street.
I think just mathematically, if he'd just gone into the pram, he could have pushed it out of the way in plenty of time.
Yes.
But
yeah,
that
I had that thought. It seemed like an overly showy way of solving the problem.
But that wouldn't have left the pram there
Yep.
in order for it to get hit by the truck so we knew how bad it was.
Yep.
But also, the pram had so much momentum. Why did it just stop in front of the truck?
I don't know. Who knows?
Damn this show and its questionable relationship with physics.
It's a pretty cool end to that scene, though. So basically, he takes the bundle back to the strange magician lady, and it's revealed that it was in fact a cat, not a baby. And it's a pretty well acted bit here, where he goes, "Oh my god, I risked my life for a cat," but pulls himself up halfway when he sees her reaction. He's like, "Oh, I'm so glad I saved this cute cat," is what I meant.
It's not like a huge acting responsibility, but he does pull it off, and he turns on that tiny note. And
there's nuance there that is very sort of impressively handled, given the pedigree of past actors on the show.
What, Matt, are you saying if you select for martial arts ability and ability to do a flip kick, you don't necessarily get Oscar-winning actors?
I'm just saying I don't think old mate JDF could have handled that one.
No, that's almost certainly true.
Yeah.
I don't know that he could handle that now, frankly.
No. Probably less so now, if anything.
He could do some rad kicks, though, and that was worth a lot in 1994.
Oh, no question. Look, I'm not calling into his value as a ranger. Into question his value as a ranger. So basically, in exchange for saving a cat, he gets an ender gem. It seems like a pretty sweet deal.
We get a great beat where Koda says, it was so easy for him. I was frozen in a glacier for thousands of years.
Yeah, I love that. That's a fair cop.
The scale on what these guys had to do to become Power Rangers is drastically different, and it's great.
Yeah, there's definitely an extreme curve where Koda's right on the very end.
Koda is a literal caveman who lost everyone he cared about, protecting his brother, and froze and ended up in a strange future that he does not understand.
Yeah.
Chase looked rad in front of a bunch of people and then got to become a Power Ranger.
Then on the other end of the spectrum is Shelby, who basically didn't have to do anything to get hers. She was just in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anyway, back in the present now.
Also, sorry, all of these guys talk about this monster and all of what's going on just in front of this Maori lady.
Well, the thing is, she hands over an end gem, so I think the implication is that she has an understanding of some of what is going on.
So, who doesn't at this point?
They don't really seem to concern themselves too much with secret identities.
No, but there was a whole thing where they have secret identities and they have to work at a shop.
I understand. I'm just saying I don't think it's going to be a primary concern.
No, clearly.
Yeah. So they have had that conversation. Don't really learn anything of value, though, when they find out that Chase has gone missing and Spellbinder is back.
Yep.
Dun, dun, dun. Obviously, they have to go confront him, so they head to another warehouse.
Yep. Wrench and Curio are down there as well.
Yeah.
Wrench is, this show's Babu.
Yep.
And Curio is the bizarre green bell-shaped monster.
Yeah, it's a weird moment because last we saw Curio, he was leaving with Poisandra.
Yep.
And that's actually referenced in the dialogue, which I like, because Curio says, "Oh, I should have stayed with Poisandra," but it's weird to keep that scene in the last episode and, sort of have to work into a dialogue and excuse as to why, that's been changed here.
Sure.
It's why not just not do that? Anyway. Neither here nor there. They have a fight unmorphed.
It's pretty good.
It is pretty good, but they understandably get their asses pretty well handed to them.
Yep.
And then they morph first, is that right?
No, the spell gets everyone except Shelby.
That's right. Everyone except for Shelby. And at that point, they bring out Chase, who's now pretty well under his mind control powers.
And he's doing a pretty good job of being menacing.
Yeah, he's definitely... And again, this comes back to him being a pretty solid actor. Just from his body language, you can tell that it's not Chase. You know?
Yeah.
He's walking in a way that is clearly too confident and purposeful to be Chase.
Because Chase is a piece of shit, as discussed.
I like Chase. I feel bad saying that about him.
Oh, no, he's a great piece of shit. Don't get me wrong.
If he was like a product, you could have that as the pull quote on the box.
Chase, he's a great piece of shit.
Predictably, he's asked to take out his gun and shoot Shelby dead.
Which, boy, this show got dark in the last 20 years.
Yeah, that jumped up a notch, didn't it? And he almost does, to be honest. But then Shelby has the good fortune to take a bit of wood on wheels that's nearby and push it at him so he steps onto it, which becomes a makeshift skateboard, which shakes him out of his trance.
Okay, I don't think you're doing this bit justice. Because what happens is, he's approaching her menacingly.
Yep.
She grabs this from next to her, rolls it at him. He, has to step on it. Starts rolling towards her. That snaps him out of the mind control. He stops himself on a barrel, spins himself around, says the sentence, "Command this," and just shoots the fuck out of Spellbinder.
It's pretty cool. I think the problem was that I was just really perplexed and surprised by the fact that this was how the mind control spell was broken. Not because it wasn't
nonsense.
Not because it wasn't awesome. Just because mind control is such a rote, predictable thing, as I said. But it's almost always overcome by willpower or love or friendship.
Yeah, it's not the fact that he has to shoot his friend that breaks him out of it.
It's
the fact that
skateboarding.
he ends up on a skateboard.
That is a legitimate character trait of Chase's now. That skateboarding is the most powerful thing in his life.
Because he's a piece of shit.
Above friends and above love and above any of that, skateboarding. Which, props to them for just committing to it, you know? I do prefer this to, the predictable thing I was expecting. So, yeah, I was just shocked, I guess.
Yeah. And there's a nice bit there where, Chase thanks Shelby and she acknowledges, I had to do it or else you were going to kill me.
Yeah.
It's just, they talk to each other almost like real people.
Yeah, it's pretty great. And they take that opportunity to morph. Chase gets to deliver the morphing call.
Yes, he does.
And they morph.
Yeah, I noticed this episode that the morphing music is a more heavily orchestrated version of the theme.
Yep.
It's just cool. I like it.
It's cool, yeah. It has a different energy, not better or worse than your typical morphing sequence, though, I think.
Yes.
It's less sort of adrenaline pumping and more... I don't know, epic is an overused word, but definitely...
It's bigger and...
more operatic, I guess.
Yeah, that's probably the right way to say it.
Yeah. So they morph, they get their... what's that power-up mode again called, Michael?
Dino Steel.
They get their Dino Steel on again and go to town on these monsters. When they've done a decent job of that, they use the Dino Spike Charger to combine all their weapons into a giant spear, I guess.
It's basically all of their things just become one giant pointy thing.
Yep. And then they sort of put their hands together. Tyler jumps up onto their hands. They launch him up into the air, and then he sort of drives the spike down on the monster.
And then lands facing the camera away from the monster.
Yep.
As the monster explodes, the other 4 Rangers turn around.
Yep.
I've got to be honest, I'm a sucker for explosions as people turn around in the foreground.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think it's one of those things that in Mighty Morphin we aren't up to yet.
Yep.
They haven't quite figured that stuff out.
Yep.
So, more of that, please, Dino Charge.
Yep. Unfortunately, I think the Dino Spike is a bit shit.
It's kind of shit, isn't it?
It's nowhere near as cool as the Power Blaster, for example.
Because everything just kind of goes together in a straight line.
Yeah.
And it becomes, just a bigger sphere.
It's not like you're taking the individual and varied elements of these different items and combining those to form one more useful sort of whole. It's just like, oh, we just piled many of the same thing on top of each other.
Yeah, it's not my favourite, but it'll do for now.
Yeah, and it has that very plasticky... I guess that's one of the big differences between Mighty Morphin and this, is that the Mighty Morphin stuff was sort of made into toys, whereas this seems to be made for toys.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things going on there. I think one is the change in quality of the footage.
Yep.
I think the grain makes the plastic look a lot less plastic.
Sure, yeah.
Whereas in this, like, gorgeous 1080p HD stuff,
yep,
it just kind of looks a bit shitty.
Yep. But it does seem like they leaned into that as well.
Sure, and I guess part of that is so that the toys look like the toys the kids can buy.
Yeah, and that makes sense. It's just... like, I was happy to get, like, my Saba, which didn't look like a toy, it looked like a cool sword.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think also, my understanding is that often for props, the American guys will use, like, the Japanese toys.
Yep.
Because they are, like, 95% show accurate and a high enough quality to stand up, and you can get a dozen of them for pretty cheap.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have to worry about breaking them and...
yeah.
That sort of thing. Yep, cool. So they do that. It looks like the monster is destroyed, but you may not be surprised to learn that Sledge uses the magna beam to make him grow.
Yep.
At this point, Chase calls his Zord.
Yeah. His Zord comes from Hogwarts, right? That's what's happening.
I think it's more like Castlevania than Hogwarts. Like, it is definitely a vampire castle.
It's like a big Hogwartsy vampire castle with a full moon behind it. And, like, it hops on top of this castle somehow. It's inexplicable.
I was not ready for it, because all the others had come from, like, a volcano or an ice cave or something like that. I'm like, okay, dinosaurs, I get it. But this one, nope.
No, that's just a building.
That's not prehistoric.
No.
Vampires are old. They're not that old.
It's weird.
It's one of the things you said have to, like, accept and move on.
Yep.
And
we're going to see that at least 6 or 7 more times, I'd say.
Yeah. It's the sort of craziness that I'm on board with, just rolling with, because it's great. Why not?
I wish they tried to explain it as, like, it comes from New Zealand.
The home of vampires.
Yeah, New Zealand, where Hogwarts is.
So they make the Megazord, this time with Chase's Zord, and Koda's Zord, and Tyler's Zord, obviously.
Nope.
Riley?
It's not Koda's Zord.
Riley,
yes, it's
sorry,
Riley's
yeah.
Zord.
Which sort of dispels what I was saying last week about Koda being, like, the arm that's always the arm.
Yeah, so this one has got a sword arm and a gun arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could
why
see
not?
more of that. Yep.
Yep, that's cool.
It would be nice, I hope, now that everybody's got their Zord out and has had a turn and has had their episode.
Yep.
I hope it'd be nice to see them being strategic in their choices.
Yes, absolutely.
Being like, okay, this guy's got a gun, so we need a gun and a shield.
Yep.
This guy's got a sword, so we definitely need another sword. Like, making actual decisions in the show.
Totally. Yeah.
This fight looks great.
You think?
I think all of the physical bits look incredible.
The problem
is CG...
I think the physical bits would constitute about 10 seconds of footage.
There's a bit of it at the end, but yeah, there's certainly not enough.
The problem I've had with this, the Megazords fight specifically, and also some of the early stuff, is that it's so fast-paced, frenetic, and from weird different angles that I never get a sense of place or scope or anything like that.
Yep,
it's just
sure.
like lots of flashes of images, and I don't really understand what's going on except that things are blowing up.
Yeah, I think part of the issue is that what we're used to is big, like, 2 guys standing in a circle fights.
Yeah.
And so when all of a sudden everyone is moving, the other problem for me is that the physical Zords do not move quickly.
No.
Because they are, like, people in suits, or they are models, or they are whatever.
Yeah.
but the CGI moves
Like
super
Spider-Man.
quickly.
Yep.
And it's like the reason they're using the CG is to move it quickly.
Yeah.
But it feels much more real when those things move slowly and have got some weight to them.
Yep. And
So
they are
it's just-
giant robots. You know, when they're bouncing off things like pinballs, it takes
There is a
away
lot
something.
of bouncing, isn't there?
There's a lot. And I think, too, there's never a lot of, at least so far, back and forth in this fight. Like,
Yep.
in this one, they just wail on the guy until he explodes. Like, there's no resistance. It almost feels a bit mean.
He does shoot back for a bit, but they just strafe out of the way of that and then do, in fact, bounce off a building.
Yeah, they look like they don't care. Like, they
No.
probably didn't even have to bounce off a building. They're just doing that to rub it in. So they call on their finishing move, which I just want to clarify here, Michael. Did
Sure.
that involve them going to like a Western universe for a moment?
It certainly, everything got very orange and high noony.
I'm pretty sure there were cactuses.
Look, I got nothing. It's
But which again, that's fine. I'll take it, but it's weird. It's real weird. Yep,
I'm sure we'd find out that the Black Ranger in Koda is a cowboy or something like that.
a cowboy
and so-
vampire.
I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe. This is the 40th season of Power Rangers. Eventually, you have to get up to cowboy vampire.
Sure, and if you don't, you're really just not doing your job.
Yeah, guys, if you haven't done cowboy vampire, we're giving you that for free.
Yeah.
Although some money would be nice as well.
We certainly wouldn't turn it down. So yeah, they make a big fireball, and
Yep.
it blows up, and that's the end of that.
Yep.
They go back to the place where they have burgers. Burger place.
Burger place?
Burger place. Can that be its name now? We'll call it Burger Place, I think.
Okay, sure.
They go back to Burger Place. A weird setting for the sort of coda of this episode, because it doesn't seem to... Like, I guess it pays off at the end of this scene, but
Yep.
when you're going for a debrief, like you have a command center directly below it, that seems to be the place.
Yeah, there's no real distinction between what they're using these different places for,
Yeah.
other than what serves the joke at the end of the scene.
Yep.
Before we get to this, though,
Yep.
there's one really interesting bit where on Sledge's ship, he's pretty upset because Spellbinder was worth quite a bit of money to him.
Yeah.
But he discovers the pendant still has some magic in it.
Yep.
That's got to pay off, right?
You would
There's no
think so.
reason to shoot that scene if you don't intend to use it somehow.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because if that's an American shot scene,
Yep.
does that mean that they're going to have to shoot like a whole bunch of American footage later to build a plot around that?
I mean, it could.
It's hard to say,
Certainly,
isn't it?
I'd certainly imagine if you've got like a supporting character later who you want to mind control,
Yeah,
you have like one scene of him doing it,
sure.
and then you just have to have the scenes of him like being mind controlled.
Yeah, and it's an exciting thought that they're going to have that later, and whereas in Mighty Morphin they would just pull a thing out of a hat and be like, look, this is the mind control thing.
You know, in episode like, I don't know, 12 or whatever,
Yep.
they're going to say, hey, I'm using this thing, and we're going to go, holy shit, that thing.
Yeah, that's actually
Instead
a
of
thing
going-
that's established.
Instead of going, oh, the power sword.
The sword of power. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So back in the burger place,
Yep.
they reconnect with Crazy Magic Lady, and she apologizes for her role in things, which is weird to me because it really does seem like Chase is the one who dropped the ball here, so to speak. But-
Certainly, if he'd been paying attention, he could have prevented this whole thing from happening.
Yes, absolutely. But they're all good. They part ways, and that's fine. Koda reveals that it's Chase's turn to mop the floors, but the other Rangers say, "Oh, he can't focus. He's not going to be able to do it." And Chase is like, "No, it's okay. I've learnt my lesson now. I'm going to jump on a skateboard and mop the floors."
Which is a terrible way to mop floors.
I'm going to say it, impossible. You cannot mop floors on your skateboard.
I mean, even just logistically, you have to push with your mop. It's going to fuck up your skateboarding.
Yeah. And once again, I was really expecting this to become, okay, I can focus when I skateboard. I need to learn to apply this to other aspects of my life. No, his solution is, I'm going to skateboard all of the time.
That's a good moral, Matt.
Look, I'm not complaining, it's just strange. But then we find out that it's actually Koda's turn to mop the floor, and he played chase.
Yeah, good work, Koda.
Yeah, I think that's a bit
You don't
charming.
understand the English language, but you understand deception.
That's what I kind of like about it, is that it establishes that although Koda doesn't understand everything that's going on, he's not an idiot.
No.
Like, he can...
He's perfectly capable of interacting with people.
Exactly, yep. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and there's no shame on his face when the others call him out for it.
No, he looks kind of proud, if anything, which I like.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I tricked him. That's right, I'm a fucking caveman. I tricked him. That's right, me. Suck it.
Which is fair. Like, he got outsmarted... Chase got outsmarted by a caveman.
An actual caveman.
Yeah, that's not like a hyperbolic exaggeration.
No. He was from a cave.
All right, that's it.
I quite liked this episode.
Yeah, I was sort of on the... Look, it's a lot better than the vast majority of Mighty Morphin episodes. But I'm still... Like, unlike Mighty Morphin, when I'm like, okay, at least we get a good Megazord fight at the end. I'm more like, oh, now we have to go through the Megazord stuff.
I certainly think the Megazord stuff feels weaker.
Yeah.
But the fact that everything else is better makes up for it a bit for me.
I would absolutely agree with you there. Yep.
Yeah, and unfortunately their hands are tied as far as that Megazord stuff goes.
Totally, yep. Not their decision at all.
Yeah. Alright, so creature feature.
Yeah.
Alright, it's a pretty short list at the moment, so I'm just going to run you through where everyone's at. Slammer from last week is at number 1.
Yep.
Fury is at number 2.
Yep.
Scrapper, who could turn into just a hand, is at number 3.
Yep.
And Ice Age, who had no personality whatsoever, is at number 4.
Yep.
Where do you think Spellbinder goes?
I think just above Ice Age. What's your feeling?
Yeah, that feels about right to me. He wasn't a great bad guy.
No, he had a very unoriginal sort of mechanic. And he was also dispatched in that Megazord fight embarrassingly easily.
Yep. But Ice Age was pretty crappy.
Yeah, Ice Age was, like, no distinguishing features as opposed to not very much.
Yeah, Ice Age is the Mr. Tickle Sneezer of Dino Charge.
That's right.
Okay, so Matt, Fantasy Zordon.
Yeah.
How'd you do this week?
It was an interesting one. I might go through it just to get some clarification on everything.
Sure.
So
Let's
there's
talk it.
no Vivix in this episode, so no points across the board there.
None at all.
Everyone gets 2 points for combo weapons, though, so that's cool.
Yes.
I got 2 points for Riley for making up part of the Megazord.
Yep.
Now, for the Dino Steel,
Yep.
both of my Rangers actually did it twice. So that means I actually get 4 points per Ranger for that one.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That I can see that being a big point scorer for everyone.
You sure? Now, none of my Rangers delivered the Morphing Call or learned a lesson or anything like that. Now, I wanted to ask you, Michael, about the Dino Spike Charger.
Yes.
Now, it is a charger for everyone, but it is blue, and it has Koda Stegosaurus on it. It looks quite a bit like a Koda charger.
Alright, so Matt, it's actually not the Stegosaurus. It's a separate dinosaur called a Kentrosaurus.
Oh, there you go.
So, look, based on what I'm looking at the moment, it looks like there's more than 20 of these different individual ones.
Yep.
Each one being based around a specific dinosaur.
Okay. So, is that, do you think, charger points for everyone or charger points for no one?
That's interesting because Tyler is the only ranger who puts it into his gun.
Yeah.
But certainly everybody is involved.
Yeah.
Why don't we say points for everyone?
Sure, so points for everyone. It's like Christmas.
Yay!
Alright, so based on that, for Koda, I have 9 points for Koda.
9 points for Koda, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I have 2, so that's 6, 8, 11 points for Riley.
Ooh.
And then 4 points for my missing Rangers, which is 24, I believe.
I think that checks out. Alright, so Shelby forms part of a combination weapon,
Yep.
enters a power-up mode twice, and uses an alternate Dino Charger.
Yep.
For a total of 8 points for Shelby this
sorry,
week.
we had that as alternate Dino Charger, not new Charger. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't think anyone discovers that one.
Okay, so sorry, I had miscalculated in that case. I'll drop myself down to 22 points. All right, there we go.
Yeah, so that's 8 points for Shelby,
Yep.
2 points for the Aqua and Silver Rangers,
Yep.
who don't show up. Okay, so Chase this week forms part of a combination weapon,
Yep.
is part of a Megazord formation,
Yep.
enters a power-up mode,
Yep.
uses an alternate Dino Charger,
Yep.
delivers the morphing call,
Yep.
learns a valuable lesson,
Yep.
and discovers his Dino Charger
That's true.
for a total of 17 points.
Yep, that's a bumper week for Chase.
That's the best week anybody has had yet.
Yep.
So that gives me a total of 29 points this week.
Very nice. As good as that was only 7 points behind me. So that's not quite the huge sort of advantage that it would seem.
No, I like that they're quite close. So for those of you playing at home, here's the current points for each Ranger. There are 27 points for the black, blue, and pink Rangers.
Oh, wow.
The Green Ranger is behind on 22.
Riley.
The Aqua, Graphite, Purple, and Silver Rangers are all on 8 points each. So, Matt, at the moment, you are on 65 points.
Yep.
And I am slightly ahead on 70 points.
I'm going to catch you up.
It's very close, and it's fluctuating very much slightly in either direction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's very interesting, actually, because 3 of the Rangers are on the same number of points.
Yep.
Nearly everybody is on one of 2 different scores.
Right, okay.
Because you can either have 2 27-point Rangers.
Yep.
Or 1 27-point Ranger.
Yep.
And so there's only 5 points. Everyone is on 65 or 70 points at the moment.
Yeah.
So
it's competitive.
It's a dead even field at this point, and certainly I'm very glad that no one's kind of drastically pulled away.
Yeah, but I expect we'll see that start to spread out a bit as the season goes on.
If it had been like 110 points to 5 points already, I think everybody would be pretty upset.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm really excited to see where this goes over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
All right, did you have anything else you wanted to say, Matt?
I think that's it for me this week.
All right, we'll be back next week. It's episode 6 called The Tooth Hurts.
Oh boy, okay.
You don't get to be upset about puns after the day you had today.
Hey, I was nailing it. I was firing on all cylinders.
Look, Chase chased a lot of things, okay? You got lucky.
I sure did.
All right, so we will also be back, obviously, on Saturday with a new episode of Mighty Morphin.
Yep.
This week is Missing Green.
Yeah.
So
First episode without the Green Ranger.
We made it through Green No More. Barely. Oh boy, that watermelon stuff.
The watermelon stuff was the highlight of the episode.
Yeah, and isn't that saying something?
Yeah.
So, it's a new episode with a brand new guest. We won't tell you who it is. You can wait and find out. But then, yeah, we'll be back next week as well with a new one of these. Matt, anything else you wanted to say?
Yep, I am done. Ready to clock out.
Great. So, I've been Michael.
I've been Matt, as ever I have been and will be.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys.
Dino Charge!
3,
2,
1.
when you're ready.
It's about to get wild.